You're just here. You're here to learn.
Okay, cool.
And learn
Awesome.
and just learn live with us. So
Great.
that's all a panelist is needed for. It adds a dimension, an effective experience to people when they don't know exactly what's going on, and you don't know what's actually going on. So you're perfect. What can I say? Doesn't get any better than that, Ron. Awesome. So, hey, today we've got a very, very interesting time here. And by the way, I'm supposed to do this according to my mentors here. I'm in Denver, Colorado. I'm not at home. I'm in Denver today, and we are working with one of our clients here, Elite Marketing Pro. They also are our mentors. And Rebecca has raised her hand, so she knows the protocol here to be a panelist. And so, yeah, basically, what happened here, or what's going on here, is we're getting people on board, and we're bringing people up to speed on a really cool mind model. And Elite Marketing Pro, as I said, is our mentor, as well as we mentor them. I'm no expert in online marketing. They are. And so this is part of our stuff, just getting it out, getting the message out about mind models and how important it is to get this message out. It's huge, so that people can manage themselves in very challenging situations. And I guess the death of my mother happening earlier today is one of them. I've shed a fair number of tears already, so that's part of the whole thing. They're not done. But managing myself for this moment and for the next hour is brought to you by mind models. No kidding. I shouldn't. That's very, very sick, dark humor, but that is me. So sometimes. Yeah, Ron, I know. It is funny. It is. I'm glad somebody else shares my very, very twisted sense of humor. But you gotta enjoy it. She lived a long, great life. So, and we will miss her. Anyway, getting on with it. Rebecca, you were able to get on, and there you go. And down in the corner, I had the amazing pleasure over the previous 3 days of actually meeting and working with in person with Rebecca. So that was amazing, because she's part of EMP, and she was there. And Tim, hey, you guys there, you got to turn on your mic, you got to take it off mute. So that's sort of important to talk occasionally. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the neat thing. We're doing a very cool mind model. It's a very simple mind model, but it's very, very effective when you start working with the mind models. And 2 weeks ago, I did a mind model called Ask, Tell, Fill In. And I know I'm a little scrambled here, and I shouldn't be doing this because I'm scrambled, but I'm going to cut myself a little slack here tonight, because I'm going through a lot with the death of my mother today. Oops. Did my... Okay,
you turn your video off.
Okay, I accidentally stopped video. Let's see if I can start video. There we go.
Yep.
I started video again. Yay. Okay, I just moved my jury-rigged process here in the hotel. So thank God it came back. So, hey, guys, if you want to find out more, rewiringthemind.com is the place to go. So there's more information about rewiring your mind for wealth, and coaching if you want an hour coaching or mentoring or profiling session. It's the cheapest way you can get a hold of me. So anyway, just thought I'd share. I'm supposed to be doing that at the front of every program, and I forgot to do that. So anyway, so with that done, back to the main thing today, and that is advanced ask versus tell. So advanced ask versus tell.
Sit with mommy.
Mommy.
Oh, that's a cutie. We have a cutie.
Sorry, guys. All right, she's gonna be. We're gonna take it
If you can mute out, that's fine. Okay, thank you. So advance and come back in when you can. I know your child may come first or not. I don't know right now. But it's totally fine any way you can. So, were you on, Ron, for Ask versus Tell?
I was not, Blair. Unfortunately, your podcast conflicts with the EMP ad reviews, so I haven't been able to get on these as much as I really want to be.
Yeah, I know. I hear you too, because I want to be on the other one too. I set the time and date, and then I found out about the other one, and I am conflicted, but that's fine. So advanced
reviews.
Yeah, cool. So anyway, Ask versus Tell. Which is more? This is going to be a quick pop quiz review. So which is more important, or which is more powerful, asking or telling?
Asking, definitely.
Colin.
Asking.
Okay.
Definitely.
Ron, you're nodding your head yes. How come?
Agreed. Because
yeah,
I agree.
how come you agree? What causes you to want to agree to
that? When you tell somebody something, you're barfing your point of view on them versus letting them be resourceful and find the answer within themselves.
Cool.
Which is not a question.
Okay. True enough. Very, very true. Now, did you just 2 seconds here? I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and it is an attempt, trust me. So I'm going to click on share desktop, and then I'm going to, I'm going to click here, and come on, stay there. There we go. And now share, and I'm going to move this. Is it, and it's trust. Just 2 seconds here. Nuts. I have to minimize you guys. There we go. Okay, now that does not look like it's working. So I'm going to take it back here and try that one more time.
Sometimes there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
At one time, so maybe give it 10 seconds after you try.
Okay, so here we go one more time, and we're going to optimize full screen. And I'm going to try that. And there we go. I got it. Woohoo! Thank goodness. Okay, so ask versus tell. So the main one is, and I know we've done that before, what I'd like to do right now is to not do what I just did, which screwed up everything on my screen. However I managed to do that, I made it huge, and I don't want you huge at all. I am okay. Can you guys still see my screen with hi all on it?
No.
Okay,
I can
fine.
see your Blair DU and
we see your Zoom screen, I think.
Okay, fine. I unshared. So I'm going to try this one last time. Otherwise, I'll just walk through it some other way. What the hell's going on with this? There we go. How's that?
can see it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, we're good. So somebody ask me a question, any question, and not Colin. Ron, ask me a question.
Blair, how are you dealing with your mom's passing?
Purple. Is that crazy or is that normal answer?
A little crazy.
A little crazy. Yep, absolutely true. So, how do you know?
It doesn't respond to the question.
How do you know?
Oh.
Not like you're absolutely correct. It does not respond to the question. But how do you know?
Because I'm looking for connection and it's not happening.
Very, very warm. Yes, it's connection. But if you notice about every single question that you ever ask or anybody else in the world asks, anybody else, it defines the parameter, the boundary of where the answer must fall within. So for me to say purple, it falls outside of that box, correct?
Yes.
Right. Therefore, it's a crazy answer.
Got it.
So first things first, asking defines the parameter. When you ask, you literally influence somebody else's brain. And that influence is so profound that you actually contain where they can find the answer or what they can talk about, basically. Okay? So that's an incredibly powerful attribute of the questioning process. And it's the major attribute of questions. That's how come they're so darn powerful. Whereas telling does not necessarily contain anything. Okay? It can go every which way. That's ask versus tell in a quick summary. But we want to be able to take this beyond just a quick ask versus tell. What we want to be able to do is take this to the point of being able to say, advanced ask versus tell. When does the telling part become valuable? And how do you actually do that? So, basically what occurs is we get into a different kind of environment. So with ask versus tell, advanced ask versus tell, we now get to do something that's incredibly important. And I'm just going to change a color here. And that, it's like this. Whoops. That one there. Good. There. And we get to do something incredibly important. And that's called fill in. Okay? We get to fill people in. Inside of this box here is what for that person? Like we've defined a question, correct? And when we've defined the question inside that box, and what if that person has no resources, no information, nothing to connect with that question? What does it mean? And I'm going to pick on you again, Ron. What does that mean?
There's a void you can fill?
Yes.
Information?
Yes, exactly. And that's where advanced ask tell comes into play. That's where we can actually say, okay, now we have the ability to fill this void, and we actually do something called fill in. We're not telling because we don't want to tell. Tell is inherently ineffective. Telling is no. Fill in is yes. We want to fill in. only when what condition occurs. Best guess. Ron, you're up. Or no, let's switch to Rebecca. Yeah, hopefully I can't quite see you. Rebecca, I'll do this. Can you speak okay now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay, perfect.
Can you ask the question one more time?
Sure. So under what condition does fill in work? I'll take you back a little bit and then re-ask.
When they're not resourceful, when they don't have a connection.
Correct. And so what does fill in then provide?
And it gives them a connection to it so that then they can become resourceful.
Exactly correct. Because if they don't have that content, the process of asking can't work, can it? They have nothing to connect the dots to. So it is not always ask and expect people to tell you. At some point, like right now, has anybody explained advanced ask help before to you, Rebecca?
No.
So I have to actually fill you in. It seems like I'm telling. I am, in fact, sort of quote unquote telling, but I'm actually filling you in with information you don't know. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's simple. It is so simple, but it's a remarkable piece where you can identify gaps in people's information because you ask the question first. They couldn't do it. I generally ask the question or try to ask the question two different ways. If they don't get it, I ask permission first. I say, hey, Rebecca, do you mind if I fill you in?
Absolutely.
Right. And you gave me permission. You said, absolutely. So go for it. And that's the thing. Now, what happens with this permission piece? Colin, I'm going to pick on you. So what do you think happens when I ask you, hey, Colin, do you mind if I ask you a question?
What happens is that I say yes, and it you know then that I'm accepting of taking to share with me.
Yeah, because you have changed your brain and turned it into something that is open as opposed to closed. Unless you're really, 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 unless we've had an argument and you just want to shut me down and do whatever. But 98% of the time, just by asking, hey, do you mind if I ask you a question? And somebody says yes. Now, if somebody is busy and you ask them and they say no, well, that's equally actually as effective because you know that no matter what you do, they're not really going to listen to you anyway. So don't flop your gums for nothing. And then you can ask one other quick question that says, is there a time when I can get back to you to finish this conversation? Or whatever part of the thing that you were doing. Is there some time when I can get back to you and talk when it's more convenient for you? And people generally go, geez, that doesn't happen very often. Sure, here's the time. And they'll make time for you. Because that is actually, I'm now using social conditioning to cause people to do that because we don't generally like being super rude towards one another, especially if we don't know that person. So it gives them room to fill in. So it's very highly effective. Sorry for all this dinging. I just have I don't know how come. I'm going to have to turn that off and that sharing off here somehow. Sorry, I probably have my screen up still. And
is there a slider mute function on your iPad?
You know what? I know where the well, I guess it's not there, but it is in notifications, and just need to. Where's notifications? There. Guess not. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I will. I'm just about done with this thing here. Anyway, let's just go back here and finish it. So, in short, fill in is critical in that area. It's for new information, and you just wind up filling people in. And the weird part about it is when you're asking questions of people and they have a void, their brain, everybody's brain is predisposed for survival. We're hardwired for survival. And how did the human species figure out how to survive? Ron, what do you think? How did we figure out how to survive? What do you think is hardwired into our brain?
Oh gosh, inquisitiveness.
You're right. It is, and I'm going to flip the word around to curiosity. Because when we don't know, and especially when we know we don't know, our brain doesn't like that. It wants to go after that information because it's a void. It's a gap. And the brain has to fill us up with that information, and we want to suck it in. And that's huge. So, okay, with that, is there, I think I'm basically done sharing here, done with that. And just going here. Holy crap. Okay, I get how come things are lighting up. I just got back finally in. Hey, Larry, glad you could make it. Yeah. And for those of that have been sending me condolences and other things along, thanks so much for your care and concern. I really do appreciate that a ton. Thank you. On my mom's passing, and anyway, but for the most part, I'm fine. It was not unexpected. So anyway, so how was that clarity there? Are you guys clear now? Any questions? So Colin, what worked for you?
I mean, asking versus tell. I kind of, when you look back at what Ron asked you, when I look at what state it would put the normal person into, would be focusing on what happened with the traumatic event that happened, right? Your mother passing.
Yep, absolutely.
Which influenced the why state. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I would say if I was to ask a question, I would be a little bit more touchy-feely around trying to ask a what or a how suffice. How are you and how are you in regards to your mother? Because that's sort of a disguised why. It
could be, but I mean, in terms of the lesson at hand here, Ron's question was a valid question. My answer was nuts. It was crazy. Okay, it was not normal, and it was intended to be not normal because it's supposed to be not normal.
It doesn't matter which question he would have asked him. He would have replied with purple.
Yeah. Exactly. Unless he said, "What's your favorite color?" Then I would have to give like 6 or something like that, like something that's completely not in the related. So yeah. So, and it's just to demonstrate crazy talk and how that, like, I have the answer before you even ask the question. So long as it's not a color, it's done.
Mm.
So, so the takeaway, Rebecca, your takeaway is?
I just love that you can actually identify people's gaps, because I know I've been talking to people and asking questions, and at some points I'd honestly been frustrated because it's like, how do you not know this, right? But
Yeah.
it's really nice to be able to see that and to be able to ask the question, to make the connection, to help them once again get more resourceful, right? Because you don't know what you don't know, and you can't answer something you don't know unless you have something to go off of. So
exactly. And that past experience is so critical. Sometimes we can synthesize it from a bunch of different experiences that are sort of related. Frequently, though, when it's a real, true information gap, we can't do that. So that becomes the problem. So, yeah. So that's basically it's a big deal. And that's what the shift is really all about. And it's simple. There's a simple, specific, measurable thing that you can wind up doing to be able to test this out. And how you do it is you ask a couple of times the question, one or two different ways, and then you ask permission to fill somebody in with the information. And at that point, they don't feel cold. They feel, hey, respected. I am the way that I am. Thank you for the information. That's great information. Try and keep it as short as possible. Don't go on. This is not an invite to dump the whole load. Reminds me of a story I used to tell at Life Skills and was told to me. I think my mom might have mentioned this one. But it's a story that she heard somewhere too. And it was basically about a preacher and a cowboy. And the cowboy rides in the middle of a snowstorm. And by the way, in Colorado, it cleared up today, but we've had tons of snow for the last 3 days here, and it's all melting again. So it's okay. Anyway, the cowboy rides in out of a snowstorm. He's the only person who shows up for the service. He sits down in his pew, and the preacher gets up in the pulpit to give his sermon, and he looks around and sees only the cowboy there, and he asks the cowboy, hey, you're the only parishioner here today. Do you want to hear my sermon? And the cowboy says, well, I don't know much about sermons, but if I was out there feeding cattle and only one cow showed up, I'd feed him. Okay, so he tells his sermon and goes pounding and thumping and doing his whole thing for 20 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever, however long it was. And then the minister gets done with that, and then he leans over the pulpit and says, so how was that? And the cowboy replies, don't know much about sermons. I only know about cows, but if I only had one cow show up, I sure as heck wouldn't have fed him the whole load. So that's sort of like this. We don't want to go overboard just because we get permission. We want to moderate it. We want to keep it in an appropriate chunk of information and realize that people digest in chunks. Anyway, so, hey, we got 15 people on tonight. I just want to do that. Any questions, you guys? So,
Blair?
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
With regard to not dumping the whole load, if the person keeps asking you for more, is there a place where you should say that's enough for now, or do you just kind of keep going with the flow?
You know what? That's a really good question. The answer is I keep going with the flow until the questions become off topic.
Got it.
Okay, so they're trying to resolve something. If it goes off topic and shifts away, I don't Well, I'll dive into the weeds a little bit on this one because that is a strong indicator, that behavior of somebody trying to listen to the information to either prove a point or position themselves. They're not necessarily listening from pure curiosity, especially if you've made the point and you make it again. I usually stop and ask them, what part of this don't you understand? Or what part of this is confusing to you? And work through it from that perspective. And then they said, no, I got it. Well, then what do you need more for? Just trying to see where you're coming from on this. Okay. Well, that's proving and positioning the language. So I try and avoid that. So anyway, I've shared this on other ones too. I have never done one on the 3 questions. So I'll throw that in here since you brought that up, Ron. Is that okay? Can I share? Okay, so the 3 things that questions do is you can question to prove, you can question to position, or you can question to be actually curious. So to find out information. And those are the 3 uses that we commonly use for questions. 2 out of the 3 aren't terribly effective. Curiosity is the only one that is really, really effective. Do you see what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. When you're curious, you're a sponge, and the others have hidden agendas.
Exactly. And you see how come I'm right? So wait, pop quiz. Rebecca, which one did I use?
Prove?
Right. I am proving. I'm right. He's wrong. That's it. I win. You lose. It's just that simple.
So do you engage in that then, Blair? Or how do you deflect that and move on?
And, well, I simply just turn around and ask a question. And it depends, because sometimes I can be very pointed with my questions. Is it your intention to put me in a corner here and to prove your point? Because if you did, you won. Okay? You win. And I concede the game right off the bat because they want to win. So let them win. But, anyway, it's just, that's my own thing. It leads to a why. It leads to a stuck state. It leads to all sorts of things. But yeah, it just all depends on where I am and how I deal with things, at that time. Okay. Super. Any other questions about ask versus tell, fill in, or the advanced ask tell? Anything on that?
When do you know to fill in? What is it that you look for in somebody sitting in front of you?
That's a good question. Basically, you really want to sorry, I'm trying to give a good example. And I'm not coming up with one, but it's probably not going to be the best one right now to give an example around. But when you do that, when you actually fill in is, again, I use the 2-question rule. I've asked the question twice and they don't get it. And Colin, what do you understand about nuclear? Oh, here's a good one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. What do you understand about NLP, not neuro-linguistic programming, but natural language processing? It's part of AI frequently, and if not AI, machine language. What do you know about that?
I think it's looking at if you were, I think you guys talked about self, others, and situation.
No, not quite.
Behaviors. and the no?
Natural language processing is a computer application. So what specifically do you know about that?
You're going to have to let me know.
Well, now because he doesn't know.
Because I was thinking something else altogether.
Exactly. And I go, no, it's not that. No, it's not that. It's this. What do you know? And now it's a fill in. Now, if he doesn't care about that, it's not productive to fill him in. If he does, fill him in.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really the rule of thumb I use there. So, and that's part of the whole thing.
So you asked another question of me, and at the end of the day, I didn't know, so you filled in.
Well, I didn't even fill in. I determined that you probably weren't that interested in getting filled in on AI stuff. So, best guess.
True.
Is that accurate?
Yes, very.
Okay. Yeah, it was just
Okay, I'll shut up.
Be a good, high quality profiler to figure that one out. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. If there are,
John had some questions actually.
Sorry,
John Sue had some questions.
Okay, fire away.
In the chat, he said, "When they are doubtful, you need to remain curious, or they might feel challenged?" ? Is that what you're saying, Blair? And then,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am. That is one of the things that I am absolutely saying.
And then he said, "Fill in usually is when someone is genuinely wanting to know as opposed to listening to respond." Just
bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, John, thanks so much. That's really, really great 2 cents there. So, and thank you for reading that one. Super. I'm so glad you guys got that. And Christina, hi to you. No problem. I'm glad I'm in now. Thanks, Larry, for getting in, and Trevor for working at getting him in.
Yeah, I found out that somehow the Zap got turned off, so I'm pretty sure anybody that registered in like the last week didn't actually get registered properly. So I'm gonna have to send out. Yeah.
So if you know of people that want to re-register, please tell them to. Okay, with that, I'm going to have to wrap up early today. I mentioned to you that my mom passed away earlier today, and my phone is sort of lighting up right now, and people are reaching out about other things other than the webinar. So I think you guys may understand. And for you, Colin, and other people that know Madeline as well that may be on the call, my mother, Madeline Dunkley, passed away at approximately 7:15 today. And that's October 16th. So we're going to be having a funeral for her in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and that's going to be on October 30th. And you can reach out to me if you wish to attend, and I can give you particulars as well. So I will do that. So anyway, so I just thought I would share that with you guys, and I'm feeling a strong need to go deal with other issues in my life right now. But thanks for the moment, and thanks for the ability to have a chuckle on a rather sad day for me. But it's, and Ron, I will not forget your face covering attempts and watching your chest go up and down as you were trying not to laugh aloud on my black humor and then just let it loose. So that was great. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for showing up here on the Blair Dunkley Experience. It's one of those days. And mind models are working and helping me cope. So they're amazing little buggers.
Blair, before you go,
please.
I honestly, from my heart, I wish I was there to give you a big hug, because I know what you're going through right now, and your mom was absolutely tremendous, and your whole family, yourself, Melissa, and I'm sure your kids are probably involved in what you do now.
Yep. One of them is.
As long as you keep sharing and passing on what you've learned from your mother, then gosh, I don't think she would ever ask for any more than that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, she was pretty great lady. So
absolutely tremendous. That was such a big part of my life, learning what I could from your mother. It was absolutely brilliant. Your mother was a tremendous lady.
Yeah, she changed thousands. Well, technically, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, easy that. Yeah. Because what she did is influence people to go away and influence others to be better people and more effective.
Yep.
And that all across the board there's nobody out there that had the successes that Life Skills College had. There's nobody. And I researched the world to go there. And at the end of it, I'd honestly, truly went away with some skill sets and tools that nobody else in the world had. And it made my life and everything that happened to me when I'd left just easier. Wow. And it was all because of what she came up with and the way that she influenced and shared what she knew with everybody that she was in touch with. And you guys were all sort of building on that forever and have got to greater.
Yeah. Sorry, it was the government research, but she took it in a direction for mental health that nobody else ever did. So anyway, with that, guys, I got to run, and thank you so much, Colin. Really appreciate that. Rebecca, John, thanks so much. Trevor, as always, you've been steadfast and super appreciated. Thank you, my man. If you want to...
Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Go ahead. Rebecca wants to say something.
I was just going to say, give your wife and your daughter a hug for me. And one
I certainly will.
Well. I wish that I was still there to give you guys all one.
Yeah. No, it was so nice meeting you and Tim. Like, it was amazing. So really, really enjoyed that. Lit me up like nobody's business. So super. And and Ron, thank you for sacrificing time on EMP and everything else and coming here. So
totally worth it. My heart goes out to you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyway, you guys take care. And thanks so much. And we'll call this one a wrap for today. Hey, it's a record, but it took a major event in my life to make it a record short one. So, but I got here. So that's the main thing. You guys matter a lot to me. Like, it really matters to me that I'm here. This is important. It's important to get it out. It's important to pass this information along to other people and to give you guys a chance to shift how you think, not what you think, how you think. And it's not happening. I can't find it out there in other places. So anyway, Trevor, you want to say any closing words?
I think we can just end it there. Thanks for coming out, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Appreciate you.
Super, guys. You take care. Bye for now.
Thank you all.